Hello, everybody. I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and we've got a nice little fun live stream planned for you guys. We're going to go over a list of guys that I kind of have written down for the offense who I think could really give a punch. And, we can kind of have an open conversation about these players. We can, I'd love to go over players that maybe you guys have on your wish list or are guys you're eyeing. Before we get into everything, though, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe if you're on the YouTube. If you're on the Twitter, make sure to follow us, retweet, share the post that you're watching through. And yeah, I'm really excited to get into this live stream. The last time when we did our live stream, I thought it was really fun. We had a lot of people. It was a very engaging conversation to kind of just get involved with the fans. And again, just kind of have that kind of conversation where we can just kind of shoot the shit and talk about baseball, because end of the day, when you got the deadline only 8 days away, when you've got, so many things to discuss, I think it's so important to, just have these kinds of conversations. But first and foremost, Aiden99 says, "What's up, Aiden? I hope you're having a good night." And the MLB channel says the Yankees have to get Tanner Scott. Yeah, so we're going to have a live stream dedicated to the pitching and kind of where the Yankees should go with the pitching staff. But I would mostly agree. I think that, Tanner Scott is a really, really excellent reliever. And if the Yankees were to, find a way to acquire his services, they would be a truly excellent ball club, and it would have a truly excellent bullpen with him at the helm. Any trade with the Cubs like Nico Hoerner. So we're going to actually talk about Nico Hoerner because the Cubs are selling and I will, and Cody Bellinger as well. So Aiden and Anthony, I will get to that in a bit. Ace P says, "Hey, what's up, Ryan? Hope your day's going well. What do you think about the game today?" So quick thoughts. First and foremost, having a good day. Went out, got a dub today for the Yankees. Not me, but the Yankees did. Made a little sausage and peppers for dinner. Had that before I hopped on the live, so feeling good there. Love a good little sausage and peps beforehand. But yeah, things are going well, man. Ace P, appreciate you asking. Hope you're doing well. Action VJ goes, "Is Isaac Paredes a realistic acquisition?" We will also be talking about Isaac Paredes. I think the Yankees can pull off a trade for Isaac Paredes. I believe it will take a lot to complete that trade. So that is important to know. It is not going to be an easy acquisition. The Yankees would have to part ways with a good chunk of their farm system, because not only is he a highly valued player, he's only 25 years old. He has multiple years of control following the 2025 season, 2024 season, and I guess in theory the 2025 season as well. This is not a player the Tampa Bay Rays will value lightly. Will Cohen, ESM contributor here for Fireside Rangers. Will, hope you're doing well, my man. And what would a trade for Ryan McMahon look like? So I do want to clarify, Ryan McMahon is somebody who the Rockies seem pretty adamant they won't move. But given the fact that he has two player options following the 2025 and 2026 seasons, there does raise a little bit of question about kind of, does the contract become more valuable? Like, does a contract make him more or less valuable in the trade market? So on one hand, it makes him more valuable because it's only $11.67 million towards the luxury tax. He has got a 2.3 F1 the season, a 110 WRC plus. If we were to play at this clip, throughout the rest of the season, he's likely going to finish off with a 4-WAR year. A 4-WAR player at $11.6 million a year is excellent value. The thing is, it's a conditional player opt-out. So if Ryan McMahon does not hit certain goals, or if Ryan McMahon chooses not to opt out, that means he does not think he could get more than either 2 years, 22 years at around $23 million a year, or 1 year at $11.7 million a year. So that means if he doesn't opt out, Ryan McMahon will have played at a really poor rate. So you are taking a little bit of a risk that it could be, kind of like the Aaron Hicks deal where it's, about $10 million towards the luxury tax. And, that would be suboptimal for the Yankees, obviously, in your pursuit to sign Juan Soto and build the roster around Judge and potentially Juan Soto if you were to go out and get him. And again, just kind of drawing it back to the original point I made, I do not think the Rockies will trade Ryan McMahon. But if they were to trade him, just kind of like put the, in a perspective what it would take, I don't think it would take Spencer Jones. I don't think it would take Jason Dominguez. I don't think it would take Agustin Ramirez. I think, you could offer somebody like a Jorbit Vivas, like a Chase Hampton. That I think Chase Hampton is a really good pitching prospect. I think he's, capable of being a top 100 guy. He was coming into the year before he had all his injuries. So, if you want to say like Chase Hampton, and maybe Chase Hampton's a little much, maybe you go, more like a Carlos LaGrange, where he's a younger guy who's kind of ascended through the system, or Roderick Arias, where Arias hasn't really had the season you'd hope he'd have. I think that could be kind of a package, Arias and LaGrange. I don't think the Yankees would part ways with one of their big two or big three, or whatever you want to call it, at the top of the farm system, though. Long answer to this question, but overall, I think his trade value is a little confusing because of the opt-outs, and I also don't think the Rockies will deal him. Nardi, Scott, and possibly add Paredes and Clevinger. If you mean Clevinger, the Rays guy, I'm all in. If you mean Clevinger, the White Sox guy, I'm not all in. So I think you mean the Rays guy. This would supercharge the bullpen. I think, if you were to add those three left-handed relievers, I'm not particularly sure that the Yankees would benefit from adding three left-handed relievers. I think they really only need, one lefty. If they're going to get another reliever, I would like it to be a righty, mainly because most hitters are going to face are right-handed. But if they get two really good lefty relievers, I'm not going to lose my mind. I'm just saying, I think three might be overkill. I think at that point you just pivot and get a starter, or a second bat. I think if you're going to get two of anything, I think we can agree offense, like two bats would be ideal. But that's kind of my thought process. I'm not saying my thought process is the most correct one. That's just kind of where my brain's at. But I would say this would be a great deadline, right? Like, your bullpen gets that much better. You really have a lockdown bullpen. You get Paredes in the middle of the order threat. The Yankees would certainly be, they would certainly be considered, arguably the class of the American League. I am turning on my fan. I don't think it will be too loud, but if it is, just let me know in the comment section below. Jerry Young goes, hey man, big fan. Do you believe that in August we won't have Torres or LeMahieu? I believe DJ LeMahieu will be on the team. DJ LeMahieu is owed $15 million for the 2 years after this one. They're going to let him be a bench contributor if they don't start him. And he's a fine bench contributor. It's important to note he's a great defensive player at multiple positions. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not going to pretend he doesn't have any major league value. I'm going to pretend that I know he's not a good player. I know he's not a good hitter. I know these things. I'm very critical of DJ LeMahieu. But I also understand that in a bench role, that's more valuable than just kind of cutting him for nothing. So, and it saves you money on having to get one on the free agent market. It's a shame the Yankees don't have the Orioles minor league system. Obviously, 100%. Like, it does suck that they don't have, just kind of an infinite pool of players to pull from. On the other hand, the Yankees need to, be able to build that up while being in a contention window. Number two, they need to still be able to go out and get star caliber talent. I'm not saying they got to go get, pull off the Juan Soto trade again. But I do think that the Yankees can get quality MLBers with their current farm system. Any underrated teams are going to sell that we don't talk about anymore? I think so. The Giants, I'm not confident in them selling, even though the Dodgers, the Dodgers can really beat up on them and put them out of the race. But the reason I don't think the Giants will sell is because of Farhan Zaidi. That's something that people have pointed out to me. Farhan Zaidi is kind of, an interesting, he's in an interesting spot. He could get fired after this year. Will he sell? That's an interesting question. Also, I do have a super chat. I'll come back to that one. Richard K, first off, thank you for the $5 donation. Hey, Ryan, what do you think of Lane Thomas for left field to minimally platoon with Verdugo? So Lane Thomas is about a league average hitter this year. His problem is just defensively, he's been so bad. Left field at Yankee Stadium is really rough. I don't necessarily believe in him to get the job done in left field at Yankee Stadium. So I would be really concerned about his ability to play out there. He's a good hitter. I'm confident saying that he can really hit against left-handed pitching as well. That's somewhere where Verdugo's really struggled. He hits home runs. He's got good power. This is the kind of guy who he steals a ton of bags. He's the kind of guy that profiles well for a Yankee team that's slow and kind of needs some more pop. But defensively, I don't think he can hold his own in left field. I think the Yankees have to be very particular about who they go out and acquire for left field. But getting back to this question here from Aiden, if there was an underrated team, I'd say the Tigers have some fun bullpen pieces, and obviously Jack Flaherty. I know Tarek Skubal's the big guy, but Jack Flaherty's awesome. You also have the Reds. The Reds have some interesting bullpen pieces. They also have, Jonathan India, who I know is a popular name amongst Yankee fans. And I think he would be a great addition if the Yankees could find a way to pull that off. I don't think they will ultimately. I'm not sure these two farm systems these two farm systems don't necessarily match up well to me. But and the sell market's it's tough. The Cubs are going to announce they're selling. If the Tigers can't kind of mop up on the White Sox, they might have to sell. And so, the Rangers schedule, I'll check it now. Their schedule is interesting. They're an interesting team. They're the team I think has a lot that the Yankees use on the pitching side. They have David Robertson, they have Kirby Yates, they have Nathan Eovaldi. Those are three pieces that, if the Yankees could acquire any of them or multiple of them, it would certainly help. They get they get 4 games against the White Sox and 3 games against the Blue Jays, and then 2 games against the Cardinals, the last game being on the deadline day. So the Rangers have, a stretch of games where they can get back into it. Will they? I don't know. And the Rays kind of have a lot that the Yankees need on the offensive side of the ball. So I think it's important for the Rays to fall out of it for the Yankees. Yandy over Paredes if possible. I disagree. Yandy Diaz, he can only play first base. If you want a first baseman, I think, then fine, you can pick up Yandy Diaz, but he's also on the restricted list. I'm not saying something's wrong. I'm just saying, he's on the restricted list. I don't know what's wrong, and until I know what's wrong, I don't really want to, I don't want to mess with that. Paredes, yes, he'll cost more trade-wise, but he is a star caliber player. He's super good, and I know that, I've compared the package it would take to get Crochet and said, hey, why wouldn't that be the package it takes to get Paredes? Paredes is, one of the best third basemen in all of baseball. He's just been so good. He's so young. He plays a solid third base. He can play some first base if that's necessary for the Yankees. I just think he fits the Yankees a lot more than Diaz does, and I'm not unapologetic about it. I think it's pretty obvious to me. And yes, Diaz has played third, but Yandy Diaz also in his career has negative 30 defensive runs saved, and negative 17 outs above average. So not necessarily a big fan of him playing third base for the Yankees, unless he's hitting at last year's clip. And even then, you could just slide him over the first. So he's not a third base option to me. We talked about that. We had not actually. Hold on. I'm going to get back to this. I didn't realize there's more here. Oilo goes. What's up, Brian? Options for second base seems to me between Lowe and Jazz. India's price expensive. For third base, Matt Vierling is interesting. Low OBP guy, however, savant numbers are pretty. Yeah, Vierling hits the ball hard. He actually doesn't chase a lot. So, I'm a little weirded out by the fact his walk rate's so low. I like Vierling. I think Vierling can hit. I think Vierling, he could add something to your infield that you don't currently have offensively, and that's some pop. So, I would love Matt Vierling for this offense. And then for Brandon Lowe, I think is my preference between him and Jazz. He's my preferred option. I think he's a truly excellent baseball player. And he would really he would be a great cleanup hitter for this team, for sure. Got me grade a deadline of Jazz, Scott, Rengifo, and Lowe. So Jazz would have to be an outfielder. I don't trust him in center field, so I'm assuming he's in left field. He's, I'd rather get a different left fielder if I'm going to get a left fielder, but he's versatile, so I can't hate on Jazz. I like Jazz. I don't dislike Jazz. It's just I'm going to be, I'm going to be a strict grader. And I'm going to strictly grade any deadline the Yankees do. So, I'm going to this is a big year for the Yankees. Scott, love that. Scott's a great bullpen piece. Loves, Tanner Scott. I like Jazz, to clarify. I like Jazz. But, I think when you look at the other names on this list, that's when you go, okay, where's the fit? Luis Rengifo. I'm not in love with Rengifo. I liked Rengifo a little more earlier in the year. The power hasn't been there. I thought it was going to come back. It hasn't. He's got that wrist injury. I'm a little concerned about that. So I'm not a Rengifo guy. So to kind of grade each pick, Jazz will give a B, Scott I'll give an A, Rengifo, that's a C. That's a C to me. And then Brandon Lowe, Brandon Lowe's sick as fuck. It's part of my French here, but he's incredible. I'd give that an A. So overall, we'll give it a B plus to A minus. I think this would be objectively a strong deadline. I would allocate my trade chips in other areas, but this is objectively a very strong trade deadline. DFA candidates have to be Glaber and DJ. They will not be DFAing DJ LeMahieu, in my opinion. DFA JD Davis. They will DFA JD Davis. I think that will happen as soon as Stan comes back. The Boy Wonder 212 goes, Fireside, love the show. Realistic, what do you think the Yankees can improve in the deadline? First and foremost, thank you for the support. I appreciate you so much. And secondly, I would say for what the Yankees can realistically do, I think one infielder, one reliever, and one starting pitcher is realistic. Now, if the Yankees would like to improve their outfield, I would be for that. It would have to likely be a right-handed outfield bat based on kind of, they seem to like Verdugo, even though I don't really think Verdugo's all that good. Could the Yankees trade Verdugo? Could the Yankees trade Trent? What could the Yankees do to kind of shuffle around some of their outfielders? I'm not particularly sure. But in the bullpen, a left-handed reliever, somebody like AJ Puk, somebody like, Tanner Scott, those two guys would be sick. Now, going on the offensive side of things, I think Brandon Lau would be perfect for this lineup. I think he's exactly what they need. Matt Chapman would be sick because he's an all-around strong player. He plays great defense. He gives them offense. He gives them kind of he gives them some base running. He kind of sprinkles value around the baseball diamond, but he does not provide the overall offensive value that somebody like Brandon Lowe, or most definitely somebody like, Isaac Paredes would bring to the table. That's obviously a little bit of a concern. But, I think that Matt Chapman would be an excellent addition. Brandon Lowe could be an excellent addition. The second tier of players for me is Jazz. He'd be a good player. Luis Rengifo, is he in that second tier? I'm not sure. Maybe more third tier to me. Where does a guy like, Yandy Diaz is probably second tier. India's probably tier one. India's been really good offensively this year. I would consider him of the echelon of a Matt Chapman or a Brandon Lau, at least just based on this year. So, kind of wrapping up my point again here. One infielder, one starter, one reliever. I think they can pull that off. I think they can. We'll see, but I think they can pull it off. If they're not going to address one area on the team, it's tough to say the lineup. It's impossible to say the bullpen. I also think it's impossible to say the rotation. I need somebody there. If it's Eric Fetty, like I'm fine with that. Like if they get like a 3 or a 4, I can live with it. I need an impact pitcher though. I need an impact pitcher, if that kind of makes sense. What would it take to get Jonathan India from the Reds? They need pitching, but like they kind of have pitching in their organization. They need outfielders. Like you would need to give them like Spencer Jones. I think they need outfielders, man. Like they really do, and I think they'd be right to ask for him. Jonathan India has been really good this year, and you get 2 more years of him after this year. Would I trade Spencer Jones in a package for India? Probably not. Would I, understand why the Reds would ask for him? Absolutely. So, I'm not necessarily sure the Yankees and Reds match up all that well because they need outfielders. We don't necessarily have a deep farm of like outfielders. Our best prospects are up the middle and on the pitching side of the ball and catchers. So, yeah. We're not DFAing DJ ain't happening. We've got him for we got him for 2 more years after this one. So, yeah. The Orioles built that system by being bad for 10 years. Yeah, it's another thing. Look, they were really bad for a while, but the Dodgers have an excellent farm system. Not as good as, not as good as the Orioles, but it's a good farm, and they're good every year. So, I don't want to give that excuse as like, oh, well, if the Yankees were bad every year, they'd have a good farm. They should have a really good farm every year. They should be at the top of the league in that regard. That's a product of a good farm system. Would you rather get Skubal and Rengifo or Lowe and Paredes? Lowe and Paredes, right? Because I can get a reliever. I don't think you could pull off. I mean, we're not going to do it. Could we pull that off or not? This is just a straight question. Lowe and Paredes, like, could you imagine what that does for your team? I mean, let's kind of map out the lineup here. You could lead off Lowe, go Lowe, Soto, Judge, or maybe you go, Rice, Soto, Judge, Lowe. Paredes. You could do Paredes. I forgot Paredes exists. Paredes, Soto, Judge, Lowe, Stanton, Wells, Volpe, Rice. I don't give a shit playing. I mean, do you like Dominguez, Verdugo playing the other outfield spot? I mean, that lineup's fucking stacked. Watch my language. Excuse my language. But man, dude, that would be a sick lineup. Like you would destroy teams with that. You would score more runs than anybody on planet Earth. Don't know what that noise was with my throat, but sure. They would destroy baseball teams. Like they would legitimately baptize other teams. And I think that that would be so sick. I think you guys can agree with me, right? Like that would be objectively sick to just watch that lineup mash do its thing every fucking day. It would be so cool. Tours I can see going. I could see him being traded. I could. The thing is they just need infield depth, and I'm not sure they can get away with not having infield depth. And I don't know. Like I don't know what they're gonna do. Infield's tough, man. I don't know what they're gonna do. I really don't. You think we can get a new infielder? Not talking about it, but maybe Bryce Terang? No shots, Bryce Terang. Nico Horner? Could happen. Bryce Terang? No shot. We've got to get Tanner Scott to make a serious run. I mean, it could be other left-handed relievers. There are certainly other good left-handed relievers that exist, but Tanner Scott would help a lot. I think, Holmes, the role I would have Holmes in is kind of in that fireman role. Just kind of let him kind of just pitch whenever he's needed. I think having these long layoffs for him have been bad. I don't think it's good to have him not pitch for 6 days. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Why the fuck didn't he pitch in this series? That kind of thing. I know he pitched in the All-Star game. Did he pitch in the All-Star game? I don't even think he pitched in the All-Star game. Why did I even say that? I don't know if he pitched in the All-Star game. I don't think he did. They need to get Holmes consistently throwing. They can't. The problem, I think, is that they have him lay off for a while, and that his command's never good after that. They need to get him consistently throwing, chucking the ball. Having a set closer, I think, is it just doesn't go the way. It doesn't go the way I think people hope it does. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys can correct me or tell me what you guys think. I think it'll be a Yankee. I think Scott has a good chance. Duvall's a target for us. Hard throwing, nasty stuff. Just Matt Blake magic. Here's the thing. I just don't think the Giants, it would make sense for them to sell low. Like, out of all the guys in your roster you're going to trade, why would you trade Duvall? Duvall has multiple years of control. He hasn't been great this year. Not to say that he's, bad, but like his value is not higher than it could be if you trade him in the offseason. He has a good finish this season or next deadline or whatever it may be. Or maybe you're just good next year. Maybe because you're good next year, it allows you to kind of get the ball rolling. So, I don't think trading Duvall at his lowest value particularly does much for the San Francisco Giants. But speaking of San Francisco Giants, Mike Yastrzemski, he appeals to me. He just makes a lot of sense. He pulls the ball a lot. He plays good defense. He hits home runs. He, is a patient hitter. He can work his walks. I think he profiles at the top of the lineup. I know a 320 OBP isn't sexy, but, again, he plays in San Francisco. It's not necessarily the ballpark you would want to play if you're a left-handed hitter. Against lefties this season, he's been a lot more passable. 124 WRC plus is good. Do I expect that to sustain? No, he has a 391 BABIP in those situations, but he's clearly matching. He's seeing them better than I think he has in years past. He's getting the ball in the air a little more. Not in the air a little more, excuse me. He's getting the ball. He's working a little more walks. He's got the ball in the air a lot this year. He pulls the ball. It's a guy I think would get better at Yankee Stadium, and again, just profiles well for the top of the Yankee lineup. Although I will say, left-handed, not great for what the Yankees are trying to do, right? Like, it's not great for what they're trying to do in terms of, like, trying to hit lefties, which they don't particularly do right now. Hey, Ryan, let's say it's a day after deadline. Who are the new Yankees senior crystal ball? So, crystal ball. Let me use my Alexa as a crystal ball. My crystal ball right here. I'm seeing into it, and this is what I see. I foresee that the Yankees will acquire Jack Flaherty for the rotation, AJ Puk for the bullpen, and they will land Brandon Lowe for the lineup. And they'll get like some random right-handed hitting outfielder or right-handed reliever that nobody's ever heard of. John Brebbia. John Brebbia, I like John Brebbia. Look at his stuff. His strikeout stuff is sick. For the outfielder, kind of some candidates here. We're gonna set the qualification to 100. We want right-handed outfielders. Primary position outfielders. We're literally gonna guess here. We're gonna take a nice little guess, folks. Connor Joe. No, the Pirates aren't gonna trade him. They're like contenders, kind of. Like they could grab a wild card spot. Although Connor Joe, like, he kind of appeals from the standpoint of like can hit righties, can hit lefties, but I don't know if he can play the outfield reliably, which is kind of a big thing. The Yankees want a guy who can play the outfield. And you can't blame them. I could see I don't really know who makes sense in this group. Like Mark Canha, like is I like Mark Canha, but is he like an outfielder anymore? Like, he barely plays out there. I don't know if he can actually move. I like him more than Verdugo. He hits lefties well. I guess Mark Canha. You know what? Mark Canha. And he can play some first. Mark Canha. Yeah, Mark Canha is the answer. Mark Canha and Jack Flaherty in one deal, and then get AJ Puk for the bullpen and Brandon Lowe. These are awful moves. I want blockbuster moves. You have to be on drugs to want the. How is Jack Flaherty a mediocre pitcher? Like, I don't mean to be an asshole, Michael, but like, how is Jack Flaherty a mediocre pitcher? I do accept this as a problem. John Birdie, please save us. I don't know. The third base market's like what? Get Isak Paredes or you're fucked, right? And I don't think they're getting Isak Paredes. I would love to get Isak Paredes. it is a lot to get him. So, I don't know. Michael, I think I put together a pretty strong. I think the team is better with my deadline. I'm not saying it's the perfect deadline. I'm just, realistic, right? A starter, a reliever, an infielder. That's kind of where I was at. Low hits. He hits fucking good, and he's a good fucking hitter. Jack Flaherty is striking out everybody under their sun. Jack Flaherty has a 3.13 ERA and a 32.4% strikeout rate. So, and AJ Puck, I know his overall ERA sucks, but his numbers as a reliever this year are awesome. He has been unbelievable in the bullpen role with Miami. As a reliever, he has a 2.22 ERA, a 27.8% strikeout rate, and a 2.85 skill interactive ERA. He's developed this gyro slider, and it's fucking gross. He started throwing it, I believe, on the 19th. And dude, hasn't allowed a run since then. He has a 43% strikeout rate. So, Mike, I'm going to push back on your opinion. Yeah. So I would like them to go all in. I think that would be going all in. I think getting a closer starter. I'm not going to keep going on about this. We're going to just kind of take the next question. Would anyone want Verdugo? Dude, I'd say no, right? I get Verdugo was traded myself, but anything's possible. Yeah, sure. If the Yankees make any trades thinking they going after another starter or top-notch reliever, yeah, if they go after, I think the bullpen is a priority for them. The bullpen and the lineup feel like two areas. The bullpen and infield feel like two areas where you can guarantee they're going to get somebody. I don't know if it's going to be good, but it's going to be somebody, right? And then we'll see if they can add supplementary pieces. We'll see if they can add one to the rotation, and we can see if they can add something to the outfield, because I don't love relying on what I don't love is relying on Jason Dominguez to come back. I think that's bad. That's a bad process for the org. Nathan Eovaldi's a name I'd love to see back on the Yankees. He would be sick. He'd be super cool. He'd be awesome. I love him. I love him a lot. I love him dearly. So, yeah. Yankees need trade. Absolutely. They need trade. They need a trade. They need a trade right now. Yandy Diaz plays third base. He's awful there. For anyone thinking that they can fill their needs, go start making some effing moves. Yeah, the Yankees need to be early strikers at the deadline, in my opinion. I think they need to go out and make moves early. They need to be aggressive. They need to go get their guys. They can't wait for somebody else to do it. And I hate to be rude about this. But I just don't really think Brian Cashman can sit on his hands. He has to understand the situation at hand here. Can't let the division slip. Got to go get yours, and that's go and get your guys and win the fucking division, and let's go win the fucking World Series. Who's the best player traded? Luis Robert or Garrett Crochet? Is Garrett Crochet better than Luis Robert? I'm going to say Luis Robert. Could you see the Yankees flipping Torres for a prospect, giving a fresh start somewhere? Sure. It depends on who they get in the infield or how many infielders they get. They need a better third baseman. Agreed. In an ideal world, who would you like to see the Yankees get at the deadline? So we're going to go idealistic. So I'm not saying get Luis Robert, get Tariq Skubal. That's, I'm not crazy. I understand that's not happening. It's kind of a waste of everyone's time for me to sit here and tell you, they should get that guy. You get, let's get a little crazy here. Isaac Paredes, Nathan Eovaldi, and a reliever. You do that, right? You do that, right? Isaac Paredes, you get me some Isaac. You get the sack man. You get me some sack. Not really how I wanted that to come out, but we're just going to keep rolling. Dude, that team, right? That ball club, that's my ball club. That's the ball club I recognize. Hits home runs. Eovaldi is a bulldog number 2, number 3 caliber starter. Number 2 caliber starter, honestly. And then you get a nice reliever. And you could pair Robertson in the deal, right? That's a fucking fire ball club. That's a great ball club. You got a closer, you got a starter, you got your guys, you got your team. Second base, third base, bullpen, possible starter, left field. See, that's where it gets tough because I don't think they're going to bring in 5 players. I don't think they're going to bring in 5 players. I don't think they're going to bring in 5 players. I think they could pull off 4 trades. They've pulled off 4 trades in 3 separate deadlines. I think that's the magic number. 3 to 4 trades is the magic number, or the magic numbers. I don't think they're going to pull off you know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be a crazy, a fucking balls to the walls, insane deadline. It's not going to be like the Padres when they got Soto and Josh Bell and Brandon Drury. And, like, I think that's a little much. But, it could be interesting. They could get better. I just don't know where exactly it's going to be. Also would like to point out, like, could they get like a supplementary piece? Like I mentioned like Eric Fetty. Like, can they just like bring in Eric Fetty, who's like a solid starter? He's your 4. You've got, in the postseason, Cole, Heel, Fetty and Schmidt. Like, I could live with that. I could rock with that. I really could rock with that in the postseason. But like, is he going to cost a lot? Like, what does that look like? I don't think Tyone's the answer. I know they have interest in Tyone. I'd rather get Fetty than Tyone. I think Fetty's better than Tyone. And he's not as expensive financially. And then you look at the bullpen, do they need a Tanner Scott? Can they get like, again, like kind of an AJ Puck where like the name isn't as big, the numbers on the season aren't as good, but the reliever value is great. And, moving forward, you're going to get great reliever production. Like, I could live with that. I don't know. It's tough. Like, where do you cut costs in terms of like, where do you allocate the least amount of assets or funds to in terms of the position you upgrade? That's what's going to answer it. It's got to be either the rotation, the lineup, or the bullpen. It's got to be one of the 3. You have to decide it's got to be one of the 3. And that's going to be the toughest call. I don't know what the right call is. I don't. And if I did, I just don't know. It's tough. Ian Quinn, great guy. Hey, Ryan, do you think the Yankees need more power, high K starting pitching? Or do you think the starting pitching is fine enough for the postseason? I think they could use another starter. I really do think they could. Does it have to be a power pitcher? No. Would I like one? Yes. Do I consider like Eric Fetty a power pitcher? No, I don't. Do I consider him a good pitcher? Yeah, I do. I think he's a good pitcher. I think he's an above average major league starter. I think behind the Yankees defense too, instead of the fucking White Sox defense, he could be good. Doesn't give up home runs. He doesn't walk a ton of batters. The only concern is he doesn't really miss a ton of bats. He only strikes out 21.6% of batters face. But, maybe the Yankees figure out something with his sequencing, his usage, what he does when he gets to 2 strikes, maybe get him to miss more bats. Is there like a ridiculous? No, there's no splits either. The splits are pretty even. So struggles on the road. It's not nearly as good away from Chicago, which is interesting. I'm not sure that's really a thing, but I'm not sure that that's an indication that he's not good. But yeah. 3rd time through, he struggles, but not much more than the average pitcher. So, again, not really concerned there. Misses more bats against righties, misses more bats at home. That's interesting. I don't know. I don't really know like what the answer is with like if Fetty's good enough or not. But, I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough. They're just kind of they have to upgrade in the 3 facets of their roster, and I don't necessarily know which one they can stomach upgrading the least, So, yeah. Yo, what's good, Ryan Jack, my boy? What would you think if the Yankees got India, Lowe, and Scott? That would be great. I mean, that would be an unbelievable deadline. You get 2 bats. The only thing is, like, where does India play? I know he's naturally a third baseman, but, like, would the Yankees try him there? If they would, I mean, shit, dude, that lineup mashes, right? You go India, Soto, Judge, Lowe, Stanton, Wells, Volpe, Rice, fucking Dominguez, Verdugo. You go, I mean, that's that lineup stacked, right? Those guys can mash. That's a mashing lineup. That's the kind of lineup, and you got a lineup where both those guys are under contract for the next 2 years, so you've got something kind of brewing there. Although I would say I think the Yankees are only going to fill 1 infield spot. Hot take: I think they're only going to fill 1 infield spot because like John Birdie is like solid, I guess. It's like Oswaldo Cabrera isn't good, but like, can you start him and like hope he's good enough? I don't know. I think like Glaber isn't the worst baseball player ever, even though he's not really good this year. He's been pretty bad. I think the thing is they just got to make sure they don't have to play LeMahieu. Like I hate to pick on a guy, but they just have to make sure they don't have to play LeMahieu. I don't think it's crazy to say the objective of the deadline offensively is to make sure DJ LeMahieu doesn't have to play. So, yeah. Hey, Ryan, in my opinion, thank you, by the way, for pulling up JYNX Jinxie Clips. There we go. Hey, Ryan, my opinion, we go for Jazz in left fielder second, even though people say he's overrated. The Yankees need speed. Hey, bring speed, bring some pop. He can hit the ball hard. He's a masher. Like, I would love to have him. I would be happy to have him. Not as like, can he be the primary bat they get? I'd say no. Yeah, I'd say no. But, like, is he good? Yeah. I think he's your second baseman. Thing is, they need a third baseman. Will they play Jazz at third? No. Like, I just kind of hope the Giants trade Chapman, man. That would fix a lot because you could get Chapman. You could maybe go for an outfielder. Chapman's going to cost a lot on the trade front because of the money he makes. And then you could go get a starter and a reliever, and your deadline's done. Like, if you were to do Chapman, Yastrzemski in one deal, and then Robertson, Eovaldi in another deal, you're done. You finished your deadline. Like, you're set. The other player that I have some like weird interest in is Ahmed Rosario offensively. The problem is that he is such a fucking bad defensive player. Like, he's so bad defensively. He's awful defensively. And that's concerning, right? Like, he can't really play third base at all. Like, he really can't play third. He's really bad there. He can't necessarily hold it down. Like, he's not that bad at second. I can play him at second if you want to get him to play second, but then you eliminate like half your options in the infield to like get better. So I don't know. Most likely be traded Verdugo or Glaber. I'd say Glaber. Tariq Skubal, not happening, even though I would love him. Jazz will be at second. We get him, not for the outfit, just my 2 cents. He'd be there to replace Torres. I would agree. Chapman 3.8 WAR better than Devers low. That's crazy. That's actually fucking insane. I didn't know it was that good. The second Chapman finds someone for Torres, he's gone. It depends. What are you going to get back for Torres? Nico Horner I can get on board with. Versatile, good defender. Couple of concerns, and that's that he doesn't hit for much power. And that's a big concern for me. I think not having the ability to hit for power is important. The Yankees need some pop, so like I prefer if they could get somebody who could hit for some power. That's just my 2 cents. So yeah, 100% agree, Eddie. I wonder. Like, I really do wonder if that's how eager they are to move Torres. Bellinger. Here's how I feel about Bellinger. Like, Bellinger, he makes more sense than Yastrzemski because he can place him first. And let's be real here, right? Like, if Rice slumps really hard, you're gonna want somebody to be there, and you don't want it to be fucking LeMahieu. I'll tell you that. You do not want it to be DJ LeMahieu. Bellinger is a supplementary piece. Now, Bellinger's problem is he's still on the IL. He fractured his left middle finger. We don't know when he's coming back. He might not opt out of his contract. Like, those are all real concerns. I wouldn't opt out of the contract if I was him. I wouldn't. I don't really see a reason to. I don't see a reason for the Yankees to like take that risk. He's not like a great player, solid one. So yeah, I don't know. He screams more solid than good to me. And that kind of, or great to me. And that kind of scares me. Reds said they would want Jones in a trade for India. They said that. If they did, yeah, they should. Is Garrett Crochet a realistic option? Not a likely one, but it could happen in theory. These catchers will kill us. Fuck no. What are you talking about? With Wells and Trevino, they're not going to. They're awesome. They've been great this year. A 103 WRC plus from Trevino and a 106 WRC plus from Austin Wells. Both of them have been plus defenders. Let's be real with ourselves. Let's be honest. Come on. Let's relax. The catchers are a plus on this team. It's a positive. Most teams would kill to have catching this good. Jesse Winker, he would be awesome. His offense is awesome. Just can't field for his life. Yaz's home road splits, I'm not concerned at all about. Like, I'm legitimately not at all. Like, he would mash at Yankee Stadium. His swing is built for the Bronx. Like, I know everyone says that about every lefty to ever play baseball. But like, his swing is legitimately built for Yankee Stadium, and his career WRC plus on the road is 109. It's usually good. It just hasn't been this year. I think that's just small sample size stuff. It's 41 games. He'd slide in nicely here. First thing, love the podcast, guys. Thank you. My go-to when it's time to mow the line. Appreciate that, Michael. So at this point, the only good I see in Glaber is we have the same birthday. Is there a suitor who we could ship him off to in a package or not and get someone of decent value back for the postseason? I would assume decent value for immediate contention would be a reliever, right? And like, could the Yankees get a struggling reliever or like a reliever they can fix for a second baseman? I think they could. Now, who would that be, right? So let's look at the teams who have the worst production at the second base position. Those teams include, you've got, you have the worst WRC plus is the Red Sox. You're not trading with the Red Sox. Then you got the Rockies, White Sox, Angels, Marlins. Those four teams aren't buying. The Giants, like, are they going to buy? That's a good question. I think that's fair to ask. You have the Cardinals, like would the Cardinals trade for Gleyber Torres? I don't think so. I don't necessarily think he appeals to them, but I could be wrong. He's a rental. That's kind of why I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not too sure. They also need pitching. Then you've got Seattle. Like, could they take on Gleyber? Maybe. I think they'll shop a little higher on the market. Kansas City, it's 86, but they've got Michael Massey, who's played really well. Could Pittsburgh go out and get a second baseman? You know, maybe. But again, like they have options there. They have Nick Gonzalez, who's solid. Are they going to take on the money for Torres? I don't know if a Torres suitor necessarily exists. Again, maybe it's the Giants. Maybe the Giants go, we'll buy and sell a little bit. We'll do a little bit of both, right? And if they were to do a little bit of both, I think they could benefit from having Gleyber. Their primary second baseman right now is Thairo Estrada, and he's been awful. It's a rental, so you don't have to pay him after this year. If the Yankees were to do that, I propose Tyler Rogers would be a really sick addition. Maybe the Yankees could kind of relieve, because they would be relieving the Giants of some money. Maybe for next year. So maybe that appeals to the Giants. Were like, you know what, we'll do it. They don't necessarily use him in high leverage either way. So I like Taylor Rogers, not the righty, not the sidewinder, the lefty. And I think he would help this bullpen. So maybe that would work. That is a name I'll throw out there. So yeah. I'm at the earliest I could see us getting rid of DJs after next season. That makes sense. Yeah, I agree. It's just not happening right now. It's not. Pamela Davis goes, Kyle Finnegan and Tanner Scott for the bullpen. I would love those two for the bullpen. I think they're both excellent players. I think they're both excellent relievers. I think they bring a ton of value to the table. These are two guys where, the Yankees would be getting considerably better in their bullpen. They would miss bats. Are those two guys the two best relievers in the market? I mean, shit, maybe Scott is. Assume Miller isn't moved. But those two guys, like, they mash. Or not they mash. They miss bats. They punch tickets, and that would be sick. Although Finnegan has a home run problem, and that's a little concerning, but neither here nor there. If the Yankees don't make significant moves is what I think you meant, then they're finished. Yeah, I think if they don't make any significant moves, they're done. Or maybe they won't be as good. I don't know. Offense wins games, defense wins championships. So yeah, you need to be good on all sides of the ball. Like being good defensively isn't as important, I think, as being good offensively, at least in Major League Baseball. NBA, it's a little different. NFL, it's a little different. Just because run prevention is largely influenced by the pitcher, not by the defense only. Even though the defense is a variable, it's not the biggest variable, I'd argue. I think just having good pitching is the biggest variable. But yeah, so, I don't know. I don't think the Yankees are going to become a bad defensive team after the deadline, but I think they could use to sacrifice a little bit of defense to get a little better offensively. Have you considered Moncada? Feels like he could be a decent last-ditch option in trades. My problem with Yoan Moncada is that he has been super hurt. He hasn't played much. He is usually hurt. That's not like a recent thing. It's a career trend. And he hasn't hit or played great defense. He makes some money. The White Sox ate most of the salary, sure. Would I do Moncada and Fetty? Yeah, I would do that at a low price. I wouldn't pay a lot for it. I wouldn't offer a ton for those services particularly, but I wouldn't I don't know. I wouldn't does that move anybody? Does that move you guys? Because if they get Moncada, at that point, just banking on John Birdie, would you rather just bank on John Birdie? John Birdie's also at least a better defender. He's got some speed. Moncada, I've heard some things about him being lazy. So he's interesting. He's talented. Maybe he's better off as a reclamation project for a team looking to sign a free agent third baseman than he is a mid-season addition. So I don't know. I would love to know what you guys think about that. Somebody mentioned Gleyber to the Braves here, and that would actually be interesting. I could see that for sure because they need second base help bad. So maybe that's the fit. Although again, free agent, not. They've traded for rentals before. Maybe they would do that. Are there any relievers in the Brewers? Let's see. What do the Braves have that could interest the Yankees in the bullpen? So we're gonna go as relievers. We're gonna go just 5 innings pitched. We're going to look at win probability added guys who are poor WPA, which means they're likely to not really just be that used over there. Aaron Bummer has good numbers, but a bad WPA. Do the Braves particularly value him? I don't know. He's got club options. They're not going to trade him away. He's got decent value. Jimmy, did they send down Dylan Lee? I think they sent down Dylan Lee. Could he be a piece? I don't know. Is he too good for them to give up? They've optioned and recalled him multiple times. I would trade for Dylan Lee. If they were willing to give us Dylan Lee for Gleyber Torres, I would do that in a heartbeat. We could use the reliever help. Is he good? I don't know, but like, you know, he'd certainly be better than what we currently have. So, yeah, let's keep moving on though. Where were we? Is Fernando Cruz an option? He's like the typical like bad ERA, good reliever. Like I think he's good. I think his ERA is misleading. If the Reds were willing to deal him, I would be willing to take him on. The only issue is he walks a lot of people and he gets barreled. So, or those are two issues. So maybe that explains the high ERA. I'm not sure. I think he's good. It has been a consistent string of like not having a good ERA and having good underlying metrics. Maybe he's just not good. Although the Reds defense, from my understanding, is also pretty awful. He's not great on the road. Splits aren't like significantly different. It's pretty on the road. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm paying top dollar for him, but I would certainly be interested. Trade for Brent Rooker to play left field. Look, I get the offensive appeal. I really do. I love Brent Rooker. He fucking mashes. Here's the big problem, though. He cannot play left field. Cannot play left field at Yankee Stadium. And Judge, not saying Judge is selfish, just that it doesn't seem like he's willing to play left field at Yankee Stadium. He just doesn't seem very good at it. I mean, the one time he played him there, it was a shit show. I remember that ball that dropped when they played Minnesota. So, like, can Judge play left field? I don't know. I know that DH is open right now, but it won't be when Stanton comes back. So, I just don't see it, guys. Rooker's not happening. And if the A's, I think there's somebody else going to offer more. Things will make, if they don't make significant moves. I don't think they're going to miss the postseason. I don't think they're going to be very good, though. The long layoff for Holmes does not help. Yeah, it does not. Yeah, I would agree. They need third, second reliever, pitcher. Like, if they could do all three, that'd be great. I think they could get away with one infielder. If they get really, really good infielder and a really, really good starter and a really, really good, what's the word for it? If they just get really good players on that side of the ball. Like if I'd rather have 3 really good players than like 4 mediocre ones, that kind of thing. Being on the wild card in mid-July doesn't mean you can't make the playoffs. We're also not out of the wild card, to clarify. Like, I know that no one's claiming we are out of the wild card, but like the Yankees would really have to fuck it up to miss the playoffs. I feel like that doesn't go understated. That doesn't get stated enough. Here's how many wins the team. So like the Royals have 3 more losses than us. That's not an outrageous amount. Like it's doable to blow that. But we've been really slumping. And I'm not saying that the Yankees can't it's not reasonable for them to keep playing bad baseball. Like in theory, yes, they can. But God, don't you really think that things got to turn around at some point? Like, don't you think that, like, I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but don't you think that this team can't play this poorly for this long? Like, that's kind of my thought process. So, yeah. Look, that would be a sick deadline, but they're not going to be able to, you can't ask a team to acquire, like, the Orioles couldn't pull this shit off. The Dodgers couldn't pull this shit off, man. Like, that's when you get a little crazy, you know what I mean? What was about earlier? Really happy to get low. I'd agree. We don't need a frontline starter. It's a good. That's a good thought. Let me process this for a second. I think the Yankees would benefit from having a frontline starter. Does it have to be an ace? No, but I would like somebody that can take the ball in Game 3 because I don't trust who's taking the ball for Game 3 right now. Schmidt, like, is Schmidt better than Brandon Pfaadt last year, who like was the number 3 starter of a pennant-winning team? Yeah. Is he better than last year's Andrew Heaney, who was basically a number 3 starter of the Rangers? Like, yeah, I think yes. I think the answer is yes on both fronts. I guess by that logic, right? Like, just get a middle of the rotation starter, right? You know, just somebody like that could work. But I don't want to pay a lot to get them if it's a middle rotation guy. Did I just talk myself into a middle rotation guy? I think I just talked myself into a middle rotation guy. I think that's the area you kind of then punt a little bit. Not punt, but, you know, you go, you're fine. You just need a little help. Nothing crazy. That would be the position to do that. Rodon, Cortez, Stroman suck. Rodon was good today. I don't think Rodon's like particularly good, but, you know, I don't think all 3 of them are bad. Like, I think Cortez can do something for you. I expect Cortez to get a little better. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. It's Cole, Heal, nobody else. And Schmidt. Yeah, Schmidt's good. Soto might not even come back if they go on his trade deadline for him to walk. No, they can bring him back. They can. You mean say we're on drugs? Hey, man, look. Tempers are flying high. Yankees aren't playing great. I get it. It's frustration. Dude, Michael, I'm not like, I don't take it personally, buddy. I get it. I get heated talk about the Yankees too, bud. I like that. It's important to have passion for what you're talking about. And I'm sure I come off as a whiny bitch sometimes on the podcast. I'm sure I come off as a pansy baby on the podcast. I've got my moments too. That's fair. Also, Python FN. Hi guys, what's up, Python? Brandon Lowe or Josh Chisholm? Brandon Lowe any day of the week. He is a better hitter, and I don't think it's close. Do you think 3 bats could happen if they shed salary in Torres and Verdugo? It's just like, okay, they would need a left field bat, 2 infield bats. No. I just kind of like, because then you need pitching. No. I mean, maybe if like one of the bats are like a bad player, like fucking just get Brandon Drury or some shit. Hope he doesn't suck for you. Or like Gio Urshela, who's kind of awful. Like I see a lot of people talk about like we should get Gio Urshela, and like maybe I'm crazy. Like maybe I don't like. I certainly appreciate his time with the Yankees. Like we know he's bad, right? Like he has a 77. Like he has a 77 WRC plus. Like Oswaldo Cabrera is better than him this year. Like we are aware that he's bad, right? Like I just want to make sure we are aware that he is not good. That's really it. Do you think they'll try and get Tanner Scott? They will 100% try to get Tanner Scott. I like the idea of getting Jazz. Any other second baseman you'd have to go after? It's fair. Yankees could have a whole new bullpen when everyone comes off the IL in addition to the deadline. That's another thing, right? Like Efros, Birdie. I don't necessarily like. I like Nick Birdie. Nick Birdie also like tweeted at the account, earlier in the season. So we love Nick Birdie here at Fireside Yankees. But I don't love the idea of relying on Nick Birdie, if that makes sense. Like I do understand he has an extensive injury history and command history, or issues with command. So I don't really want to push the agenda there with whether like he's a bona fide reliever or not. But Efros, I think, will help. I think he will. I don't think they're gonna miss the playoffs this year, Michael. I'm not confident in saying they're gonna win the World Series, but I'm confident in saying they will make the playoffs. Would you be surprised if the Yankees somehow trade Grisham? They could. I wouldn't be shocked if they did, but they'd have to get another outfielder. So yeah. Isak, right? Isak Brady's. Yeah. Yankees would be a good pickup. You just can't play third. Like you'd have to play him at first, and like he's on the restricted list. So, right. Jones would be Paredes or Crochet. Yeah, I think those are only 2 realistic deals I could see him going for. The move I want is Garrett Crochet. Like that it's just not going to happen. Do you see a chance we can get Paredes and Chisholm /Lowe? Yes, but they would have to basically say I'm not getting a starter and I'm not getting a reliever eventually. So, like, could they do Paredes, Chisholm, and Scott? Because you could get Scott in a combo deal. Yeah, I could see that. That might actually be the Yankees deadline, right? Like, right? Could be. I want the big name at the same time. We need to have a mentality of best bang for our buck because the well, remember, if you trade for Isak Paredes, you actually save money because you don't have to pay a third baseman in the offseason. So, like, he's ARB eligible. He's an ARB guy. So he does not make a lot of money. Brandon Lowe, like, it's $10 million for next year for a club option, but, like, that's not really a lot for a good second baseman. Like, that's pretty good value. And then you're shedding a good amount of money off the books. You could also trade players. Like, you could, there are things you can do. So, yeah. Getting a third baseman now, Paredes, is ideal because the offseason market will only be Bregman or Chapman if he opts out. Yeah, and I wouldn't sign Chapman to whatever deal he's going to get in the offseason. And I like Chapman. You guys know, I talk about Matt Chapman as if he's fucking, Wade Boggs. Like, I love Matt Chapman, but he's going to get like a 5-year deal, and I'm not doing that. I'm just not. What's going to be the surprise thing nobody's talking about? I'm going to say AJ Puck. It's a fun name. Puck. Or John Brebbia. I could see John Brebbia. Like, John Brebbia is... He punches tickets. Don't think he could be the only guy you get in your bullpen, but he punches tickets, man. What prospect are trading? Any of them except for Dominguez, except for the right player. So for Dominguez, it has to be the right player. For everybody else, I can live with it. Like, he's not going to get traded for a bum. He could be traded for a guy who becomes a bum. I can't project that. He's not going to be traded for a guy who, like, outright sucks. So, yeah. Yankees are falling apart. They just won today, so I don't think they've fallen apart. They're falling apart, but they can put themselves back together. Vierling and Flaherty, I think it would cost a decent chunk. Not a ton, but like I think you might be entering, like, hey, you've got to, like, they're going to ask for like an Augustine Ramirez kind of thing. So the only concern I have with Vierling is that the Tigers might overvalue him, not because he's bad or not because they're stupid, but because they need offense and he hits and they don't really have a lot of that. And he's also like he's a 104 WRC plus hitter. Like, how much could they reasonably ask for him? He can't really play defense anywhere. He can play third, but doesn't particularly do it well. Can play second, doesn't particularly do it well. Can play first, doesn't particularly do it well. He actually does play a decent center field, and he plays a decent outfield. So, maybe you can play your left fielder. What's the hype with Chapman? He's a good player. Like, I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer, but he's a good player. I don't know if he gets traded at the deadline. What would I consider trading for IKF? I mean, shit, I guess I have to consider it. I don't want to, but I have to fucking consider it. Part of my French. I'm really cursing a lot today. What else we got? Say no to Rengifo. Zach, my man. Wells is just fine behind the play. He's awesome. Well, if the Yankees land Crochet, move to him and Hill to the bullpen, I would not do that. I would just let them start. No, Crochet, he comes over here. We pay that price for him. You better be starting. Catcher, right field, center field, shortstop are the only two places, so I'm not concerned at all. First base, I'm solid on first base, but I'm like not sold yet. Like, I got to be sold. I just do. It's with any prospect. You got to be sold on a player, I think. And Bryce needs time to sell himself. Yeah. They need. If that's 5 positions where like you're not feeling great, I guess in theory left field, because like you could like maybe tinker around with Grisham. I don't know if Grisham's really good, but like he's an okay player. The problem is most of his value comes from him playing center field. So, wow, yeah, and DH. I feel good about DH because Stanton hits. I would like Nico Horner, and I would like Matt Chapman at the same deadline because, like, defensively, you get a lot better, but you need to get better offensively. Like, the Yankees need to kind of commit to, like, okay, we need a fucking bat. They got, like, Horner to play third and Lau to play second. Like, okay, we're talking, right? Like, defensively, you're good. Horner slots in. I don't know. You could put Horner where the fuck you want on the team, on the lineup, but he can hit a little bit. He's got a great speed tool, good defense. Like, he's a good all-around player. So, yeah. Final cue for me. Seems unlikely at the moment, but who do you think would be a realistic offer for Brent Rooker? Spencer Jones. They would want Spencer Jones, and they should ask for Spencer Jones. Brent Rooker is good, and would they get Spencer Jones from? I don't know, but they should ask for him. I think a realistic offer would be like Augustine Ramirez. They have a catcher. Do they need Augustine Ramirez? Chase Hampton, Henry Lane, Chase Hampton, and like a bat. Jared Serna, I could see that. It's 2 pretty good pitching prospects and a position player prospect. Maybe throw on a 4th player, but you would need to trade a good bit to get him. He's pretty fucking good. Also, Matt Vierling, for those who are Matt Vierling people, just hit another double. So if you're a Matt Vierling person, he has 2 doubles today. Go you, right? Like go you for being a Matt Vierling person. Only real way I can see Gleyber traded was for a prospect. That's fair. I would love the Yankees to get Victor Munoz from Seattle. They're just not trading him. Gleyber to the Braves. That could be interesting. Torres won't get traded. That's interesting. I don't know if he won't, but I don't think he will. I don't know. Yankees always make run to the radar moves. Cash is always making a trade nobody talks about. I think it'll be on the pitching side, or maybe they flip a pitcher. Like maybe they flip Cortez for a bat. Like could they flip? Because like is Nestor Cortez really like? If you trade for a starter, what exactly is Nestor going to do good for you? Like Rodon's under contract and Stroman's under contract for next year. Schmidt and Heel have club control. Cole's under contract for next year. Like Heel of Schmidt, Rodon, Stroman, Cole's 5 starters. You have Warren in the roster. Why do my phone keep doing that? You have Beater on the roster. You have Poteet. You actually have club control of Poteet for a good bit. Like I could see them trading Cortez kind of the same way they traded Monty and got value back for Monty. I don't know what for, but he's like a league average starter. Like, could a team trade, I don't know who would profile for that. You could look at teams that need starting pitching. I guess all of them need starting pitching. Let's look NL, right? Like a National League team. Not the Phillies. They have a shit ton of pitching. Pardon my French. Because the Diamondbacks, like, could they trade a bat? They're not going to trade a bat. They need bats. No, they don't need bats, actually. Their bats have been mashing. Like, could they do Cortez for like Randall? I mean, I'm not really a Randall Grichuk guy. Does he really move me? He doesn't really move me. They're not going to trade Jake McCarthy for Nestor Cortez. Jake McCarthy's is pretty good, and he's young, and Cortez isn't like that good. You know, I don't think they could get Jake McCarthy and that's really for the outfield. It's not going to help you in the infield either. I don't really know. I don't really know where the Yankees, maybe the Giants want a starter. I mean, would they really want a starter? I don't know. Anyone want to give me a National League team that needs pitching? Cardinals. The Cardinals could use Nestor Cortez. We could just run that whole shit back, and we could get like, okay, I have a question for everybody in this chat. Would you trade Nestor Cortez for Tommy Edman? Would we do that? Yes or no? I want yeses or nos in the chat. I want yeses or nos. I don't want in between. I need a yes or no. Would you trade 1.5 years of Nestor Cortez for 1.5 years of Tommy Edman? I want answers. I want firm answers. I need decisive answers because I think I would do that, and I think I could talk myself into that. I think I could very much. Edman has not played this year, which is a concern. This is literally the whole Harrison Bader shit all over again. This is literally the Harrison Bader thing all over again. We're asking ourselves if we would trade a mediocre left-handed starter for a guy who is injured right now and rehabbing and hasn't played. We're literally asked. This is literally the same thing. I think Edman would be a good infielder. I think you could put him at third base. He's a good defensive third baseman. You could put him there. Like, Cortez, is his value for you after this year really much? No. Like, if Edman hits the way he did last year, he's not really that great, but, it's still like a decent baseball player, and he can play the outfield, and I don't know. He also would get better at Yankee Stadium. Okay. Bold prediction. The Yankees are going to trade Nestor Cortez for Tommy Edman. I'm just throwing that out there. If you were to do that, and he could hit a little bit, like if he gave you the year he had in 2022, 106 WRC plus, he can run the bases, he can play defense, he's versatile, that would help. And you get Edman, Lau, Voldy, bullpen deadline. I would fuck with that. Folks, I would fuck with that. I understand not wanting to do it, by the way. I'm kind of conflicted internally. I'm not necessarily sure how I feel, but we're just gonna throw that out there. We're just gonna have that. We're just gonna put it on the board. It may be an article at some point. We'll see. Okay. Kopech. Kopech's an interesting player. So, here's I'm gonna just kind of explain to you what I think of Michael Kopech. I think Michael Kopech is a solid. Like, he has a lot of upside as a reliever. It is undeniable that he has a ton of upside as a reliever. He has shown off great stuff. Like, he has a power fastball. He misses bats. He punches tickets, all that stuff. But my big concern with Michael Kopech is that he's never put it together. He's never really put it together. I know it's the White Sox. I know, the White Sox are stupid, that shit. But I'm not particularly sure why he's not good, if that makes sense. I also think, I also wonder, like, where, how much do you trust Michael Kopech to get you outs right now? I don't trust him a lot to get me outs right now. And that's important. I don't trust him to get me outs. And I think that's concerning. And lastly, and I've been kind of waiting to put this on my screen. That's why I've been kind of yapping for a little bit. Because I think this is funny. Right? Like, hold on. Hold on. We're gonna edit this. We're gonna mess with the display a little bit here. We've got our custom one. Yeah. Let's meet Mr. Pitching Ninja Man. All right, because that's what he is. He's just not good. He's Mr. Pitching Ninja Man. That's really what he is. Got a background. I got to get rid of the background. I'm really bad at using StreamYard. Fun fact. Just going to get rid of this for a second. This is not the kind of player I show confidence in. It's just not. This right here, no. Look at these numbers. No. I'm not a Michael Kopech guy. Just have not been. So, I'm going to come back to your screen now and get rid of this. It was a dumb gimmick. We're back to this, though. I would love Brandon Donovan, obviously. I don't think the Cardinals are going to give him up, nor should they. And And, like Nolan Gorman doesn't really provide any value outside of his bat, and he hasn't really hit. So, right, I don't really know what to think of him. With that being said, though, let's get our final questions in. Anything you like pressing that I missed, get it in now. We're going to start wrapping up soon. It's been over an hour, but, I've really enjoyed this live. That's I kept it going for a little bit. So, yeah, let me know. Give me your final questions. Kind of get me the questions I missed. So, yeah. Thoughts on Andy Ibanez? Would the Tigers trade him, number one? And number two, in terms of his profile, so from my understanding, he doesn't have a below-average strike rate. His strike rate's above the league average. That's bad. And he doesn't walk a lot. Swing decision, super aggressive in zone, but doesn't, generate a bunch of power. So my opinion is that he's a good defender who can run the base a little bit, but I'm not sure he can keep up the offense. And for that reason, I am not an Andy Ibanez guy. Thank you very much for your time, folks, on that one. Ref Snyder for Nestor, platoon with Verdugo. Would the Red Sox trade Rob Refsnyder for Nestor Cortez? Now, Rob Refsnyder, obviously former Yankee farmhand, and he's carved out a nice role in Boston. He has really become a really strong platoon player. I don't think the Red Sox will be willing to trade a 136 WRC plus hitter. Again, I understand last year he was not very good, and he is, an player to some. But I think he's a lot better than he gets credit for. I think that the Red Sox would never trade a quality MLB bat for what is realistically not like a league average pitcher right now, who's off the roster after the trade deadline. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's anybody on this team, on the 26-man right now. Maybe some DFAs, some bullpen DFAs. Does Gomez get sent down? Probably. Does Mike Shawaski get DFA'd? Sure. I don't know. Does Jake Cousins, does Tim Hill, does Michael Tonkin, do they all stay on the roster? Oh, Ferguson's going to get DFA'd before them, or he should get DFA'd before them. He should get DFA'd before them. I want to clarify. Right, you have two bullpen slots that are easy to move off of. It's Gomez option and Ferguson DFA. But you've got Hamilton, you've got Birdie, you've got Efros, you've got some guys on the way back, and then you're trading people. So maybe they try to flip a reliever. I don't really know. Is Sewald realistic? No, I don't think the Diamondbacks are trading him off. Need a true leadoff hitter? I just don't think he's a good leadoff hitter. I don't think I think he profiles well for what the Yankees would want a leadoff hitter because he's aggressive in zone, but I don't particularly believe in him to sustain himself offensively, and I think he'd be more of a liability that Yankee fans would want to get rid of. But Estevez, I do like Carlos Estevez. Jesse Winker can't play left field at Yankee Stadium. That's a problem. He can hit. That's great, but I don't necessarily view him as a legitimate left field option because of the defensive value. And look, I know defense is boring. I know. I get it, guys. I really do, but you have to care about defense. I would want Refsnyder. The Yankees would want Refsnyder. They would trade Nestor for Refsnyder, I think. With that being said, though, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about this stuff. Also, yeah, Tim Anderson, no. I know somebody said Tim. Sorry, David, no. No shot. No shot. None. No shot. Verdugo has a post-concussion system. I don't know if he's got a concussion, man. I feel like that feels like a little much, right? But yeah, we need a new pitching wins championship. Yeah, we need. I think we need pitching. We'll see, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see with that. When is Stanton back? Are you running? No, they shouldn't put Grisham in left field. His values primarily as a center fielder, as defense. They're not going to make this trade, that being the Cardinals. Come on down, Jack Flair. That'd be sick. And Ian Hamilton. I don't know if that gets it done either. Garrett or Tariq. Tariq Skubal's clearly a better pitcher, so he would cost way more, and the Yankees aren't getting either. With that being said, though, thank you. Oh, and when you live next, RG, we're going to go live. So with the Yankee schedule, we try to line it up when they have afternoon games. So the Yankees, for example, they play the Mets tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Then they play on Thursday. They don't play, so we'll be going live Thursday. And when will our fair trade go down? It'll go down The 26th. That's a long guess. The 26th. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys stopping by. We really love these live streams. We love doing them. So we had a ton of viewers in today. Thank you again for tuning in. You guys can check us out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and this YouTube page. You can check me out at Ryan Garcia ESM on Twitter. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you're on the Twitter watching this, come hop over to the YouTube and subscribe. If you're on Twitter and you're watching this and you're not following, also do that. If you're on the YouTube and you're not following on Twitter, please do that as well. So show us some support. You guys show us a lot of love. So yeah, thank you guys a lot, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody, and have a good night.